and he's trying to raise his kids all while still doing his job. Talk to me about getting in that headspace.
He still has purpose, even though he feels like he's doing it without half of his body. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think anybody goes into parenthood planning to do it by themselves. And so, like, he has such a deep, abiding love for his wife. So thankfully, I have 19 years of deep, abiding love for my wife, because we basically just have life experience and imagination. And sometimes one trumps the other. You know what I'm saying? Oftentimes you have to, but the imagination is, I don't put it in second. Like, they're right there with each other. And then there's the game that you play, that you ask as an actor, like, what is it like if a bomb hits my wife and she's all of a sudden just gone? And you have to actually sort of live in that space. Calls are dropping, not getting through, so I didn't know for like the last 10 minutes.
Xavier, calm down.
And now she's stuck there, and you said that you were gonna get her a plane.
Agent Collins, calm down. Where are your kids?
At school, I think, with your son.
Okay, then they're right where they need to be.
And what I love about crews, and you guys probably echo this as well as I do, they know when things are light, and they know when it's like you need your moment. Yeah. And you see, like, the crew just all of a sudden they're just like not even, they just do their thing as you're walking through in your sort of like fugue state of like whatever it is that you have to do to accomplish this. Is like, people, like everybody, the vibe on set just changes. Because they're like, oh, they're giving you your space so you can do what it is that you got to do, you know?
And you know when you've crushed it because you look over and you see Cobra guys.
They'll hit you. Yeah, it is. It's a beautiful thing because it's not theater, but you do get feedback. You do get feedback on set, which is really great.
Britt, how is it for you? I mean, do you consider Helena and Helly are two different characters, or do you consider them the same, and talk about sort of how you approached them to build them?
And then I'll tell you what I think. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, then everyone will tell that. You know, we had lots of conversations collectively about, you know, what bleeds through. But these are essentially the same human being, in the same way that we share the same face as our characters. These, Helena and Helly, have the same body, the same physiology, but the consciousness is split. Yeah. So I sort of think about it as like the nature versus the nurture, the ego, which is the outside self, which has all the conditioning and years of experience, and then the innie is more of this id, like raw energy that that is buried within the outie person. For me, I kind of contextualize it as different music. They sound like different music in my head.
Tell me more. What artists is associated with which?
Season 1, I listened to a ton of Patti Smith when I was getting in the head of Helly R. Season 2, when I was more able to be in Helena's headspace, it was a lot of like orchestral music. I was listening to the soundtrack from Orlando a lot. Very icy and sort of sweeping. But yeah, I mean, I'll keep using analogies if that's helpful, but like, it's like an Adobe Photoshop image, you know, it's the same source material, but you're just modulating like the saturation and the highlights and the shadows. So Helly and Helen are the same source material, but you're kind of like dialing things.
I thought this thing, what you did in the show is so brilliant. My mum had dementia near the end, and before she died, and when she was dying, she kind of went back. She was a very troubled woman, a very fabulous, powerful woman, but she was very troubled, many, many layers of brittle things and defense, and it all evaporated when she was near the end. It was like meeting the little girl that she had been. And she was so much kinder and simpler and able to and somehow I think that the severance procedure inside the building, she's the purest version of herself before she got fucked up by her dad and fucked up by her position in society. And I really feel like she's who she could have been had she not grown up there. And that's what I felt watching it, really connected with me.
Yeah, I think that resonates for me too. Initially, when I was season 1, this was like 5 years ago now that we started, I watched a documentary about a set of twins. One of them was in a motorcycle accident, but they both had the same life experience, but all of a sudden one of them forgot everything.
and welcome to LA Times Studios' live coverage of the 2025 Emmy Awards red carpet. I'm your host, Maud Garrett, and for the next 2 hours leading up to the Emmys, we'll break down the nominees, hear some predictions from the LA Times newsroom, just in case you need last-minute help in your Emmys pool, and we'll go inside some of the biggest shows on television. Our coverage of the Emmys red carpet is brought to you by Stuart Weitzman. New York, luxury shoes inspired by women who stand strong and keep moving forward. Now, while we're here in the LA Times studios, we have Tom Carroll and Rebecca Castillo from the LA Times 404 on site outside the Peacock Theatre. Here is a quick update from them about what we can expect to see on the red carpet today.
Hey guys, what's up? We're here at the Emmys red carpet today. I'm Rebecca Castillo.
And I'm Tom Carroll.
We're really looking forward to chatting with some celebs today. I'm personally excited about the studio. I really hope that wins. I am looking forward to hopefully chatting with Seth Rogen, finding out who he would like to thank in his speech, if he did thank anyone.
I'm excited to hopefully chat with maybe some folks from The Pit, maybe some folks from The White Lotus, see what it was like being involved in those very different productions.
Tom, what did you think was more stressful to watch, The Pit or the studio?
I need the mic. I'm gonna go with the Pit. I found that more stressful than the studio.
I thought the studio was more stressful, so I guess we'll see what people think today.
So yeah, we are here at the Peacock Theater waiting for the celebrities. It's a little warm, but that's okay. We're just... What was I going to do? Oh, yeah, we got to throw back to Maud.
Yeah.
Back to you, Maud.
Thank you so much, Tom and Rebecca. If you're asking me, I think the studio was way more stressful. We're going to be hearing from them live throughout the broadcast with interviews right from the red carpet. Stay tuned for that. But now on to the big question. Who will win tonight? Severance leads the field with 27 nominations, including Outstanding Drama Series. But the competition includes Andor, The Last of Us, and The White Lotus. And could Penguin actually steal a bit of the thunder from Severance? It's no slouch, taking 24 nominations itself. And speaking of the Batman universe, will former Commissioner Jim Gordon, Gary Oldman, take Best Actor this year for Slow Horse? Or will the Pit's Noah Wyle win his first Emmy in the tightly contested dramatic actor field? So many questions, so little time, so let's hear from a man with some of the answers. We sat down with LA Times envelope columnist Glenn Whipp, and here are some of his predictions for who will take home the gold tonight.
Really, if you watch just a handful of shows, you should be good. Like in drama series, it's either going to be Severance or it's going to be The Pit. Battle of the Heart, The Pit, which kind of just destroyed anyone who watched it, versus The Head, the puzzling aspects of Severance, trying to figure out everything. So those are the two shows that figure on winning a lot of things for drama series. My favorite is The Pit, but Severance got like twice as many nominations. So kind of hard to pick against Severance. But I think we'll see Noah Wyle win lead actor for The Pit. So good news for Pit fans. Comedy series, last year Hacks won, and it was kind of viewed as a backlash against The Bear, which was the winner the year before. How is The Bear a comedy, everyone asked. So the response, give it to Hacks, and Hacks won a comedy series. The problem for Hacks this year is that it really wasn't very funny. So is Hacks a comedy series? I don't know. But it's not going to win comedy series. That's going to go to a show that was actually funny, and that's The Studio. But Hacks will still win things because Gene Smart always wins. And Gene Smart's won 3 Emmys for Hacks, make it 4 this year. It's going to be a good night for boomers, put it that way. Would you like to see Harrison Ford win an Emmy? I think that's going to happen for his role on Shrinking. Would you like to see Kathy Bates win an Emmy? I think that's going to happen for Matlock. You can read all my predictions online at latimes.com. Drop me a line. Let me know where I'm off base. What did I get wrong? What are your favorites? What are you hoping to see win?
Thank you so much, Glenn. A Kathy Bates win for Matlock would definitely be a bit of an upset, but I wouldn't be too upset myself. We also welcome a new host for tonight's ceremony. Comedian Nate Bargatze will be the MC, and just a few days ago, LA Times Deputy Editor for Arts and Entertainment, Nate Jackson, sat down with Bargatze, who previewed what's in store for audiences tonight.
As far as like being someone who watches your comedy, it's like, it may not be like the average person that watches the Emmys, like watches you. So the crossover is kind of interesting to me with like bringing you in as a host. Like,
I was. I thought the same thing when they asked me. It was, because it's a delicate thing. I like everybody there. I'm impressed by everybody, and I know the hard work it takes to make stuff and get into stuff. Award shows are very exciting. I do like award shows, and I think a lot of everybody in the country likes award shows because it's fun to see your favorite things, if they're going to win or not win or whatever. So that's what I want to do, is try to blend that back into where it's, you have that kind of to the regular person to, like, award shows are live. These are fun things. It's what can compete with sports in a way, somewhat. And so doing it in a great, fun way, it should be something that everybody looks forward to.
I know with these award shows too, swinging back to that, a lot of times people get those jabs in, throw things in that are like more of like hot button issues or whatever. But you sound like you're avoiding that with your monologue and everything. Did you ever have pressure? Do you feel like you had pressure to do any of that, or did you just kind of like say, I'm going to just do me for this?
I don't know. I mean, there would be a couple jokes, and then I'd be like, I don't know if I want to say it. But none of them, everybody knows that I wouldn't, so they could even, because you can say stuff that would be broad appeal to it. But it's a matter of like, do I even want to bring it up? Like, I don't even, I'm sure people are going to have speeches, and people are going to want to say whatever they want to go say, and they go do it. But for me, it's like, I should be the constant, like almost like the palate cleanser. Like that I come out, it's just like back to like, all right, be nothing. What I think or believe or any of that stuff just doesn't matter for what the purpose I'm doing. I'm there to be entertaining, and move the show along.
Any advice you may have gotten about hosting? I mean, there's plenty of comics that have hosted. Did you hear or have you heard anything advice-wise that you have taken to heart?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it was to be you, to just do what you do, trust in what you do. I talked to Nikki and Conan, and Jimmy Kimmel I talked to last night, and he was really wonderful. He wrote a bunch of like kind of notes out and like really thought it through, and was just like, hey, if this happens, you need to go out there. If something weird happens, you kind of need to go out there, like as a host, like it don't take a long time, like get out there and like kind of, because hopefully nothing weird happens, knock on wood, but if it does, and just remind people who you are. Not everybody, I know that not everybody's gonna know who I am. As a stand-up comic, you might kind of be like, I think I know this guy, whatever. It's like, just do it, and be polite, be respectful, make that audience in their laugh, which I was thinking about the people at home, but it made sense to just be like, no, you really want to make them laugh, because then the people at home laugh, because then it's comfortable. It's fun. Make it a fun, comfortable night where everybody's kind of tense about that.
What do you feel like is your barometer for how well you did Sunday night?
If everybody come back and be like, dude, that was so fun. Like, that's what you want to, that's the barometer. Just like, dude, that was so fun, man.
Yeah.
All right. Probably not even saying that much to you. Just like, dude, that was the best. It was very fun to watch. And then you're like, all right, thanks.
Yeah.
And you did good. Entertain people.
Hey, that's the job.
That's the job.
Best job ever.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
Thank you to both Nate and Nate. Both great. And I think we'll definitely have an entertaining night. Okay, we are getting closer to the main event, but now let's dive a little deeper into some of the most nominated series. Joining me now is Alex Stedman, Assistant Op-Ed Editor for the LA Times. Alex, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
This is exciting.
This is so exciting.
Love the Emmys. Now let's talk Severance, because the second season of Severance was an enormous success. Why do you think it resonated so much with both viewers and Emmy voters after such a long lag between seasons 1 and 2?
Well, like you said, there was a really long lag. I think it was about 3 years. And within that time, the audience starts to get a little resentful. We asked all these questions in season 1, what's going to happen? There was all these reports of behind the scenes drama. I think there was a lot leading up to season 2 not being as great as season 1. And then it starts and it's kind of a slow burn. But I think that finale just kicked it into high gear, brought everyone back. And now what you're seeing is not only a victory lap for, against the naysayers, but it's also kind of a redemption. Like, I think when all that was happening in the offseason, I didn't see this result for Severance season 2. And it's true that it might lose a lot to the pit tonight, but I think it just being here after all that, after such a long gap, after all the drama with the strikes and behind the scenes, I think it's a huge redemption story.
I feel like having so many Emmy nominations, it's like, hey, we're worth the wait. But when you look at other shows like Stranger Things, we've only seen a certain amount of series over such a long time. How long is too long of a wait when it comes to the world of television?
That's a really good question, and I think we're starting to see it. Because like you mentioned, we're seeing that with Stranger Things. I think people are getting really, really frustrated. Also, those kids are getting older. I think people got really frustrated with Wednesday as well, another Netflix show. But I also kind of think you're seeing that audiences are maybe a little more patient than we're giving them credit for. Again, Severance was a huge hit. Wednesday, from what I can tell, is doing pretty darn well. So people do get impatient and they do lose their goodwill. But eventually they come back around. I think they're a little more patient than we give them credit for sometimes.
I hear you on that one. We're actually going to go right now, live to the carpet. We've got someone from The Bear to chat to. How exciting is that?
Worst parking lot in Los Angeles.
Oh my God. I don't live here, so I'm like, I don't really know.
0 for 3.
No, they're great questions. I'm just not from here. I don't know.
Well, you're a motorcycle guy, so maybe parking lots don't bother you as much?
No, we park wherever we want. We're down the street, wherever we want. Yeah, I don't know. I don't worry about parking with the bike. Yeah.
What question are you tired of being asked?
Probably if it's a comedy or not, it's just, I don't know. I'd say make a different category. Why don't you have a 30-minute comedy or a 30-minute drama, hour drama? I don't know. Putting anything into a category is kind of, it is what it is, but yeah, I don't know.
Stressful show with some laughs.
Yeah, laughs. Life is sweet, it's sour, it's everything, Soak it up.
Thank you, Maddie.
All right.
Appreciate it. Good luck.
Later.
Thank you so much for bearing with us. That was Maddie Matheson from The Bear that we were able to snag for a chat. How cool is that we are live right now? Just on The Bear, what were your thoughts on this season? Because it's copped a lot of slack being in the comedy category.
And it's going to continue to from me, because why is it in that category? I think you are starting to see a backlash to that. You really started to see it last season as well. I actually really liked The Bear. I liked this season. I'm a Chicago girl myself, so I see a lot of that in there, but it's not funny. It has its moments, don't get me wrong, but it's not a comedy. And I think we're really starting to test our limits in terms of, what are we going to accept from the Emmys rules?
We are talking about the drama series as well, to bring it back away from comedy. What I've really enjoyed talking about is the success of Severance being such a standout show. Lauer is up against Kathy Bates for Matlock, Sharon Horgan for Bad Sisters, Bella Ramsey for The Last of Us, and Kerry Russell for The Diplomat. Alex, do you like Lauer's chances tonight?
I do, with a caveat. I think her performance in Severance season 2 was absolutely a highlight. I mean, you have her playing Heliar, you have her playing Helena, you have her playing Helena, playing Heliar. There's so much going on, so many layers to that performance, and I think she did it so well. However, there's stiff competition. I do see a lot of people saying that, Kathy Bates is going to take it away. She's Kathy Bates.
She's Kathy Bates.
She's Kathy Bates. I mean, who could fault her? But personally, I'm hoping for Lauer. I think she gave a great performance, and she's got a shot.
Okay, I like hearing that. Severance also has 3 nominees in the Outstanding Supporting Drama Actor category. We've got Zach Cherry, John Turturro, and Tramell Tillman. They're all nominated for their roles. Tillman was actually a guest on our Envelope podcast, where he talked with film writer Mark Olson about playing the mysterious Seth Milchick. And this is what Tramell had to say.
How do you sort of grapple with all the unknown factors to this world, to your character? Are you having to answer all those questions for yourself, like before you perform a scene, or can you somehow like embrace the mystery and know that there are going to be unknowns?
Well, with this character, he's really special because this is one of the rare instances where the character knows more than the actor. And so that gets really tricky as well. And so there are things that you're just not going to know, and you have to let go to that. There are constant conversations that I have with Dan and Ben and with the fellow directors of trying to figure out what this world is. And so because the world itself is an enigma, you don't have to play the enigma. You just lean into the circumstances that have been set up and trust that it will reveal itself in the process.
I've never even thought about that before. Like, is it the idea that the character knows more than the actor playing the character? Does that make you feel wrong-footed, or like at any point do you learn something about the character down the line and maybe wish you'd played an earlier scene?
Oh yeah,
a little different
all the time, all the time. But that's where the trust comes in, right? You're trusting that you have a team of people that will lead you in the right direction. That there are people that have vision, that you have great writers and cinematographers and directors that really understand the journey. And while I might not get it, I can lean on them to help me get there. And they're very vocal. If I'm off, they'll tell me.
Because I think especially in this second season, it's been so exciting in that, your character of Milchick is very much a company man, but it also, there seems to be a growing sense of conflict inside of him.
Sure.
And so for you, like, how do you interpret that? Like, for you, what's going on with him?
We started in chaos from season 1, day 1, right? And season 2 really ups the ante because now he's in a position of leadership and no one is helping him navigate this new space. And he's being thrusted in all these different situations and circumstances, and the Emmys are not helping him by any means. They're making his job a lot harder. And, he's learning the lessons of what it is to move up, in corporate America, that it's not so much easier just because you have this leadership title. And I think that's what the audience is experiencing. We're starting to see the cracks beneath the veneer.
I love getting all of these insights from the character. And this is a very contested category for Trammell. Outstanding Supporting Actor in a Drama has the 3 Severance nominations, as well as Walter Goggins and Jason Isaacs for The White Lotus and James Marsden for Paradise. Alex, who do you think is going to win?
Oh, it's such an interesting category because in a lot of ways, I want to say Trammell has it. He gives a powerhouse performance in Severance Season 2, but there's always the question of, is 3 actors in the same category from the same show got to split the vote? And there's so much love for Walton Goggins. There's also the idea that you could give it to Walton Goggins and you can give it to Amy Lou Wood. So I want to say Trammell, and I think I will say Trammell, and also because his star is rising so much. But he had such a great nuanced performance in that season. And I think we're all, excited to see more of that actor.
I know. And I feel like his character, Milchick, is set up for season 3 so much. I can't wait to see what's about to be
what
let
side
loose.
is he going to pick? Is he going to stay a company man? Is he going to side with the... they've really been testing him at Lumen.
And you can see it as well, where he's trying to keep his composure, but the cracks are showing big time. Now, we did have a wild cliffhanger at the end of the second season. Mark made an enormous decision. What would you like to see happen in the 3rd season?
Well, we just talked about it a little bit. I really want to see where Milchick is going to go. There's so many different avenues that he could take in season 3. I'm also really excited to see the expansion of Gemma as a character because I feel like so much she's kind of just been this prop in Mark's story. But season 2 has, built out their backstory. They've done so much with her in the finale, kind of giving her this awareness and then shutting her out. So there's all these questions with Mark. And of course, we still have a bajillion things that we don't know about Lumen. And I think Severance has done a really good job so far of giving us just enough answers, but still withholding. So I'm excited to see them play with that balance a little bit more in season 3.
Hey, Lumen, why do you need the goat?
What's the goat for?
Why do you need a baby goat?
Leave those baby goats alone.
Right? So many questions. Prediction time, though. Will Severance take Best Drama? It's up against Andor, The Diplomat, The Last of Us, Paradise, The Pit, Slow Horses, and The White Lotus. Glenn Whipp mentioned The Pit may just take the prize. But Disney Plus's Andor is nominated for 22 Emmys tonight. As a nerd, I am thrilled about this. LA Times film reporter Mark Olson sat down with the series star Diego Luna on the Envelope podcast. And here is what Luna, who portrays Cassian Andor, had to say about the show's critical reception.
It has not just been for the Star Wars faithful. It has reached, critically with awards voters. It's kind of reached a whole other audience from just sort of like Star Wars folks.
I think differently, man. I'll put it this way. Rogue One happened almost 10 years ago, 11 years ago. In fact, we started working on that. It was a film that was meant to be different, to come out of nowhere, to like be unique in the universe of Star Wars, to have a beginning and an end, a very definitive ending also, and to have characters that normally you don't pay attention to in this universe, like the all those wonderful stories behind behind this rebellion that you don't get to listen, that you're not aware of, and the film came out, and audiences really responded and really like embraced the film and went to the cinemas and they watched, and the film reached audiences all around the world, and then Lucasfilm said, let's bring something like that, but in the universe of like these long format pieces that Star Wars was about to start working on, and so we were meant to be different. We were meant to be more grounded, more greedy, more political, more complex and mature. That was the idea. We were really hoping to deliver something that you would describe as a different thing in this universe, and that you would say like, wow, this is something I wasn't expecting, right? I mean, that was the exact goal of our show.
What am I messing up?
I can handle more than you think.
Which is why you're awake every other night.
I'm not Marva. I'm not your sister. I can...
Seriously.
I can handle it.
What am I messing up?
You didn't kill that boy because we're at war. You killed him because he saw my face.
What's the difference?
I don't know.
The cast tells you clearly that what we're looking for is for a very realistic approach.
Oh, come on. It's just so good. So good. Alex Andor received a lot of nominations, but Diego Luna didn't receive a nod. Do you think he should have been included in the Outstanding Lead Drama Actor category?
TV Academy, I got a bone to pick. He absolutely should be there, if not just for his season 2 performance, the entire arc that he's built with this character since Rogue One. I mean, you have this character who sacrifices everything, and I think you really, really start to see that in season 2. You see the weight of it. You see his determination despite it. You see the pain. You see him having to make these devastating choices, and Diego plays it so well, and he's done so much work with this character, and to be just not, I feel like he should take home the trophy, and he doesn't even have the chance because he's not nominated. I just think what Andor has achieved is so incredible, and it doesn't work unless that title character is doing everything that he needs to do, and I think he's just made one of the best characters in Star Wars history, and I'm so angry that he's not getting his due tonight.
I don't mean to bring the drama here, but to have so many nominations and to have such reception, like the reception from season 2, people are saying this is some of the best television out there, and to not have Diego Luna get that nod kind of feels a little disrespectful.
Well, and it's not even just Diego Luna as well. I mean, they were nearly shut out of all of the acting categories except for Forrest Whitaker got a nod, and I love Forrest Whitaker, but I don't think he was the strongest performance in that show. Genevieve O'Reilly did incredible things as Mon Mothma. You know, you have that kind of simmering performance there where, she's can't let anyone see her sweat. But she has these 2 huge moments in season 2 that I thought would get her some recognition. There's the drunken crash out at her daughter's wedding, which is iconic, and then that big speech in front of the Senate where the death of truth is the ultimate victory of evil. Such a great moment, and I'm like, how did you overlook all these incredible performances? I'm thrilled that Andor is here for its final season, but I really wish some of the actors got more love.
I agree with you completely, and we were talking about the fact that Star Wars has been around for so many decades. Some of the best storytelling that you can expand upon with a legacy like this is to tell it in a new genre, and the fact that in Star Wars we don't have lightsabers, we don't have Jedi. This is political intrigue at its finest. In saying that, where do you think Andor ranks among the Star Wars properties?
Well, this is where I'll get into a fight online, which is fine. I truly think it is the best Star Wars media period. I don't think it's the best since the original trilogy. I don't think it's the best show, period. I think this is Star Wars at its very best.
I absolutely agree with you there as well. As a long-term Star Wars fan, we're actually going to throw it live to the red carpet right now with Ice-T.
Or something. I would love to be on that. But, you know, it's going to happen. It still happened. I mean, I didn't drive any of this stuff for me. It just happened. The phone calls come in and I do it. So one of my mottos is you don't guide life, you ride life. So I'm still on the ride.
Okay. Speaking of being on the ride, I know you don't live here, but I'm asking folks about the worst parking lot in Los Angeles. Do you have an answer to that?
The worst parking lot? Probably the 405 freeway.
Glorified parking lot.
Okay, yeah.
Thank you, Ice. Appreciate it.
Take care.
Have it. Out of all of the people that I expected to see on the red carpet, it wasn't Ice-T. And I tell you what, I feel like after seeing so many seasons of Law and Order, it's always lovely to celebrate the best in television right here at the Emmys. Great. We are going to be checking back in with the 404 team in just a few minutes, but let's keep talking about the biggest series of the year, Penguin. I absolutely love this one, and with 24 nominations, The Penguin could actually have a huge night. Colin Farrell and Kristen Milioti are both nominated in anthology series acting categories, and the show is also nominated for Outstanding Limited or Anthology Series or Movie. Creator Lauren LaFranc joins our Writers' Roundtable earlier this year and gave us the deep dive into how The Penguin was created, so let's take a look.
The Penguin is a rise to power story. And yet it's also, I think, more than that, a psychological character study of this man and what he's willing to do to achieve a level of power.
Lauren, The Penguin's obviously a fictional show, but is tethered to source material that's really beloved by fans. And I'm curious what the conversations are like with DC or with Matt Reeves when your series has to fit into a larger canon or a strategy. What can you share?
Well, Matt gave me a lot of great creative freedom, which I really appreciated and honestly need in order to make a television show. But I knew where the Batman ended. I knew where Oz ended in the Batman. There's a terrible flood that happens, and then there's a power vacuum. And I knew my job was to arc him to, rise to power and achieve a certain level of power by the end. And outside of that, I was given carte blanche and I could just play. And that's the most exciting thing to me.
This scumbag, he disrespected me. You're gonna disrespect me, Vic? No, because you and me, we're in this together now. Which means I own you.
I feel pressure to tell a great story and to write interesting, engaging characters that are surprising and to kind of surprise myself. I mean, I think I'm not the first type of person you would think who would get an opportunity to write a guy like Oz necessarily and to write into this type of world. I think there's been a lot of crime dramas and a lot of genre shows or features that, don't have the lens that I have on a man like that. So I took that seriously, and I also really wanted to pepper the world with really interesting, complicated women as well. I felt like in some of these genres, sometimes those characters weren't as fully formed. And so, again, Matt and DC and HBO were so gracious with what they afforded me that I just got to kind of take it and run with it.
I'm joined by Alex. Alex, who would you have ever thought that a series about Oswald Gobblepot, Oz, would be so good?
Well, it's kind of what we were saying with Andor. What right does a prequel to a prequel have to be that good? Same thing with The Penguin. And I think, to me, that just says, a lot of people are very cynical about the state of Hollywood, and for good reason in a lot of ways. I think a lot of people just see a lot of movies and TV shows as, IP grabs, and no one has original ideas anymore. But I think things like The Penguin just goes to show all you need is a really strong story, really strong characters, a vision, and it doesn't matter if it's a spin-off of the Batman. You can make an extraordinary show if you just have the vision, and that's absolutely what happened here with the Penguin.
Do you think, though, that people who hear, oh, it's a DC show or it's a Star Wars show are not watching these programs and are completely missing out on such epic television because of that?
Yeah, well, they should talk to me more because I will set them straight. No, I do think that's, even still a thing. I think with Andor, is there an anti-Star Wars bias? They nominated The Mandalorian before, so I don't know, but I still do think that maybe there's an intimidation factor. Maybe there's, I don't know that much about the Batman, so I can't watch the Penguin. No, you can watch the Penguin. I would argue you don't even need to watch the Batman, the movie, to understand the Penguin. It is a standalone show, truly, which is kind of remarkable despite a little bit of Easter egging at the end. But I hope anyone who is thinking that, kind of puts that belief to bed and experience some really great TV shows.
That's it. It's weird saying if you like The Sopranos, you'll like this show.
It is, but it's true. It's way more The Sopranos than it is, a comic book show.
100% agree. And this is a version of Kristen Milioti that we actually haven't seen, especially when you put it up against her episodes in Black Mirror. What did you think of her performance in The Penguin?
Well, she's just incredible. I think a lot of people wrongly just still know her as the mother from How I Met Your Mother. But what she does with this performance, how she is so quietly menacing, how she is so sympathetic, how she's so sad, how she's so smart, and you can see the wheels turning. And it rests on this performance, and it's just incredible, and I'm such a huge fan.
Now, let's talk about that little teaser at the end, which you hinted at. There are some little nods, but I feel like I don't want to spoil if you haven't seen it. But because you haven't heard about Batman the entire series, because it's not about Batman at all, the reminder at the end that Batman exists was almost like, oh, that's right, I totally forgot that this is a Batman show.
Well, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I seriously think they don't say the words Batman in The Penguin. So it does kind of catch you off guard, but I kind of read it as, I didn't roll my eyes at that. I was kind of like, oh this is still a Batman show, and it's fun.
I do like that. Do you think shows like The Penguin and Andor will be hurt if they're seen as IP versus more conventional dramas? That's you. Do you think?
Oh my God, I'm sorry.
No, that's totally fine.
I thought you were asking.
If you're wondering, we are live.
We are live.
If you didn't know that, yes, we are. And I will say there's a lot of fun things happening.
There is.
We're currently, the carpet is happening as we talk as well. So there's some fun things happening.
Yeah. I do still think that bias is still there. I think after all, you would think maybe not, but I still do think that, and you see that with the lack of acting nominations in Andor as well.
We're actually going to go live to the carpet right now. We've got Gary Oldman.
You look great.
I love playing him. The material is very good. The template for these shows are these books, by Mick Herron. So the sort of pedigree of the show in that sense is very good. Wonderful group of people. So I've embraced the whole thing. I don't think you can go into. You never know if it's going to be successful and whether you're just ever going to. You might just do a pilot or 2 episodes and then they could cancel. So you don't quite know how successful something will be. But you go in to embrace, surrender to it, and it's been a great ride. I've really enjoyed it.
Outside of Slow Horses, is there a show that you're not on that you would like to be a part of?
I think I would have liked to have been in Ozark. But then I wouldn't have had the joy of watching it and enjoying it the way I enjoyed it.
Let's say nominees from this year. Any shows that are nominated this year in particular?
Well,
you can also skip if you'd like.
No, The Pit's very good. I think The Bear's a wonderful show. There's a whole bunch of them. I mean, I look at Foundation and think, I could probably do a cameo in that, I'm very happy where I am, so I'm not going to be greedy,
Last question. As a viewer, which show is more stressful to watch, The Studio or The Pit?
The Studio, because I know all the sharks.
Thank you, Mr. Oldman. I appreciate it. Thank you.
I love hearing that. I love knowing that, like, because the studio was always going to ruffle some feathers, but to hear someone like Gary Oldman say this is a little bit too close to home. Well, there you have it. We're getting all the action from the Emmys carpet. But let's take a quick break to hear from our sponsor.
I love New York. Every moment here is alive with activity. Tourists, traffic, trash. In all the hustle and bustle, I can't help but wonder, did anybody notice my shoes?
Okay, Alex, let's talk about another major player in the drama field with 16 total nominations and a few creative Emmy wins already. HBO's The Last of Us could also have a big night. The second season said goodbye to a major character in a brutal send-off. Showrunner Craig Mazin joined our Writers' Roundtable to talk about the even higher stakes this season.
To me, if the first season was about figuring out how to manage your grief and overcome your grief by creating a new relationship, the way that Joel creates with Bella, or rather, the way that Joel creates with Ellie, in season 2, it's about managing grief by trying to exact some kind of justice. But I think in both cases we can see how whether you try and manage it one way or the other, if you can't accept it, something bad is going to happen. And that's what happens.
Well, Craig, you know what it's like working with source material, and we knew what was coming with a fan favorite character. In part 2 of the video game, it happens, and there was a lot of commentary on what this would mean for the show and what it would look like. First, tell me about your experience of the death of Joel in the video game, like you playing it, and then how that sort of informed what you wanted to see out of season 2 and where exactly it would fall.
Well, I was pretty impressed. I mean, I was upset when it happened, but I wasn't upset at the game.
Fantastic insights. We've actually got John Turturro on the red carpet right now.
Irving. And I'm like, I'm John. I'm not Irving. But I play Irving.
To me, you're Jesus, but that's a different thing.
Different thing. I mean, yeah. I mean, that's a different thing. You know, not everybody can be the Jesus. So you know what I mean. So.
Okay, I'm getting a tap from your publicist. So best of luck tonight. Thank you for taking the time.
Thank you. You guys are the boss.
It's all happening so fast on the carpet, and it's all about timing for sure. But Alex, now that we've got you here, let's talk a little bit more about The Last of Us Season 2. Even though we said goodbye to Pedro Pascal's Joel just a few months ago, have you emotionally recovered yet?
No, but to be fair, I haven't emotionally recovered since 2020 when I saw it in the game. So I'm still recovering. But no, even getting Pedro Pascal in such a small dose is still great. With that being said, while I'm picking bones on this broadcast, why is he in lead actor for drama instead of supporting? He's barely in season 2. Yeah. That's a slot that could have gone to Diego Luna. So while I was happy to see him even a little bit in season 2, and he's great, I'm just, Emmy rules are so odd.
I do hear you. And the fact that season 2 definitely had a very different vibe about it, especially compared to season 1. Do you think the love for The Last of Us was muted this year?
Yeah, I definitely do. I mean, season 1 was just such a massive breakout, and I think it really kind of put the nail in the coffin of the so-called video game adaptation curse. It was just so incredible. And season 2, I think it really, really struggled from, 1, the lack of Pedro Pascal, and 2, it being kind of a two-parter. You know, if you played the game, The Last of Us Part 2, you know how that game is kind of split in half. And so therefore, season 2 really does feel like half a season, and I think it really suffered for that. And I think its nominations are more so, or less so, kind of a victory, and more so relief. Like if it didn't get those nominations for Pedro Pascal, for Bella Ramsey, it would have been not great. But it's definitely a little muted. I don't think it's going to walk away with a lot tonight. A bit of a fall since the big reception to season 1.
I know, season 1 was so spectacular, and it was a great time to be a gamer, knowing that Neil Druckmann, the creator of the game, really wanted to honor the video game, almost scene by scene as well. I want to hear from you, since you've played the video game, how different of an impact did that big moment compared to watching it?
Well, As a gamer, you would know that, when you're playing the game, you really do feel more immersed. You do feel things a little more strongly, a little more heavily. And I think having that removed in the TV show doesn't make the moment less impactful, but it kind of does make you feel it a little less simply in comparison. I also think they made an interesting switch by letting you know more about Abby in the show than you did in the game. Because in the game, she's just some kind of random chick who shows up and kills Joel.
And takes center stage.
Yeah. And they really reveal more about her before she does that in the television show. I don't know if I liked that, but it certainly was a big change.
I agree with you completely, but we're actually going to throw back to the carpet right now. We have someone from Hacks that's getting interviewed.
Cut it! Perfect, thank you so much. Have a good one.
Oh no! We got the over the shoulder, and that's it. Well, as someone who has been on those red carpet moments, it is you get a finite amount of time with the stars because it is their night. So let's talk about The White Lotus now. Mike White's drama series, The White Lotus, has received 23 nominations for its 3rd season. Jason Isaacs is nominated for Outstanding Supporting Actor in a Drama Series for playing Timothy Ratliff, a financier on the edge of ruin. Isaacs joined our Envelope Drama Roundtable to talk about being a part of The White Lotus.
Whoa, what are the themes of The White Lotus? I mean, Mike White's, he's an artist. He's doing what Shakespeare said. He's holding the mirror up to nature, so it's whatever you take away from it. But I think the reason he said it in Thailand is because people go there often for seeking spiritual enlightenment or seeking the 5-star version of that they can rent for an hour at a time. And Tim actually goes on a massive spiritual journey, and the irony being he's the guy that has the least interest in that in the world before he gets there.
Jason, your time on White Lotus was a very immersive experience. You were in Thailand for something like 6 months, is that right?
7 months.
7 months. How was
7 months? Yeah, it was some time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was that an adjustment?
Well, we're empty nesters. We were freshly empty nesters. Our kids were abroad still. In fact, they came to stay. And my wife, for the first time, she's never interested in visiting the set. And I remember one time I said, why don't you ever come hang out on the set when we lived here and I was doing a show? And she said, you don't see it. It's like the court of Louis XIV. People laugh at your jokes, they bring you tea, and it's just weird. And I went, no, I see it. I really like it. I don't get it at home. But anyway, for the first time ever, for some reason, when I was at a 5-star resort in Thailand, she wanted to visit the set. And it was great, because she was there for 5 months, and I could share the life with her. That's awesome. I so often feel the things that are filling my life, the people who actually, I feel like I know them better than I know my real family and friends, because you're in this intense bubble. She knew too, and it was a joyous thing. So how was it? It was many things. It was a whole, community, a whole village there, and all the things you would expect, all the lovely and terrible and boring and exciting things happened. I don't know how to sum it up. It wasn't a holiday. Let's put it like that.
Do you feel like there's that misconception that you guys are just all like at the pool?
There is. There's a weird thing that happened as well, because I said a couple of times when interviewed, we were all given, it took off in a way that no one expected. So we were all given. I'm not really an actor anymore. I just do White Lotus publicity for a job. That's what I do. I've done it for months now. And in the billions of interviews, people expect you to say it was a holiday, we were in this resort. Well, we're not in the resort. So I've said a few times, and you make friends, you lose friends, romances, whatever. Things happen between departments and all the drama, backstage drama that we're all used to. And, sure. Well, the online world went mad trying to deconstruct, trying to work out who knew who and who was, actually I'm talking about all the crew and all the departments and everybody. It's none of anyone's business. Just trying to deconstruct what we all think of each other and what happened there is so much less interesting than Mike White's brilliant stories. Shouldn't be interested in who went for dinner with who and who, all the rest of the nonsense. I kind of wish I hadn't opened my mouth about it, but I don't want to pretend it was a holiday. No.
What happened? You get fired? I think in the pit, people could be dead. So I'd say the pit more stressful. Not that the studio's not stressful.
I think a lot of people agreed with you. What do you think is the worst parking lot in Los Angeles?
Well, I haven't lived here in a long time, so I'm not sure. I mean, all Trader Joe's ones are purgatory on Earth. So, yeah, probably you name a Trader Joe's, I'm sure its parking lot stinks.
We've had 2 Trader Joe's specifically named, the Silver Lake and La Brea. Is there a third one that you want to throw out there?
Yeah, there's one in West LA that's quite awful that I used to have to go to, but then I was banished from the city, and now I don't have to live that way anymore.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Have a good one. Thanks.
Thank you so much. I love being reminded at the Emmys that the Trader Joe parking lots are honestly the worst place to be, especially on a weekend. So Alex, now that we've just been talking about Jason Isaacs' performance from The White Lotus, what did you think of the slow burn implosion of the Ratliff family this season?
It was crazy, wasn't it?
Yes.
It was one of my favorite parts of the season. And you know, when I take season 3 as a whole, I do wish there was more connective tissue between all of the arcs, but I do think all of the arcs were very strong. I would say that the Ratliff family was the strongest as well. You know, it starts off kind of just, you know, this family that's not that sympathetic. Of course, they're rich, they're spoiled, but I got so stressed for the Jason Isaacs character throughout. And it was just such a wild ride, and it really kept me hooked. Mike White sure does know how to build tension, and he really did it with that arc.
And he also knows how to land an A-list cast there, and it does have so many acting nominations. Why do you think Mike White and his cast have dominated the field so much?
I mean, it's just an actor show. Like, I truly think that Mike White makes that show for the actors. I think every single actor in Hollywood wants to be on The White Lotus. And a lot of these performances aren't really quiet, simmering performances. They have these big, bombastic moments, and that's catnip for awards voters. So it's not a surprise for me to see them dominate these categories again. Will they split votes, and will it ultimately hurt them? Maybe, possibly, but no, I'm not surprised, and of course they all give such great performances.
We just heard about Jason Isaacs and Walter Goggins being nominated, and there were a lot of nominations. Do you think anyone was left out from the show?
Shockingly, yes. Patrick Schwarzenegger was great, and I just said, you know, there's so many like bombastic performances. I think his was a little more muted. I think his was a little more sad and longing, and unfortunately, I think that's probably why he was shut out. But with all the love that this show got, it's inevitable that someone had to be snubbed, but I thought he was really great, and I would have loved to see him in there.
Honestly, him and Gen V as well, like they were such different characters, and I think he's doing really well as an actor as well. Right. Especially with the rise of the Nepo baby getting a lot of slack in Hollywood. He's backing it up with talent.
Well, that's the thing. I don't see him really in that discourse all that much. I think it is because he truly does have the chops.
And even, the next season is actually in France. We've already seen Hawaii, this one, you know, in beautiful tropical locations all the time. What do you think is going to happen in France?
Oh, that is a really, because France, you try to think is a little more prim and proper, you know? Probably going to see some class struggle. I would imagine it's the White Lotus, so there's always that. I'm going to miss the tropical location, though.
I was going to say, instead of smoothies, we're just going to have to be poisoned by champagne.
Croissants.
Oh, no. That sounds terrible. Thank you so much, though, Alex. We're going to be back a little bit later, but let's take a look ahead at what is coming up. Here is our correspondent, Angelica Coronado, to break down what makes an iconic red carpet look and name-check some recent favourites.
Thanks, Maud. In just a few minutes, we'll be chatting about our favorite looks from the carpet so far today. But first, what makes a look unforgettable? Is it the designer, the silhouette? Can you underdo or overdo a look? And don't forget about the hair and makeup being just as important as the fit. Everything has to match together. Let's look back at last year's Emmys red carpet for some of my favorite styles. First up, we have Anna Sawai, who won for Shogun, dressed in Vera Wang. The mermaid frame with a bubble-flared train fit her like a glove. It seems like Anna loves wearing red, and rightfully so. It matches her skin tone and dark hair beautifully. I also like that she pulled her hair back in a sleek bun, really lets the dress and her face shine. Another fun look that caught my eye was Ayo Adebari from The Bear. Last year, she wore a colorful mosaic custom dress from Bottega Veneta. She left her long, slightly curly hair down to keep the look casual and flirty. And Ripley's Andrew Scott kept his look out of the traditional suit and tie in Vivienne Westwood. He rocked a chocolate brown suit with huge lapels and a ruffled shirt. He called it punk, rock and roll, and beautiful all at once. He says at award shows, you should feel comfortable and most importantly, have fun with your look. Tyler James Williams stunned in a perfectly tailored Dolce & Gabbana. Even though it was all black and sleeveless, it gave understated minimal chic with a beautiful gold hummingbird brooch where a tie would normally go. And my absolute favorite belongs to Kristen Wiig. She shined in a textured gold dress by Oscar de la Renta. It had a strapless silhouette, uneven hem, and a full flowing skirt, kind of looked like an upside-down golden tulip. Who will make fashion history today? Stay tuned to find out. Our coverage of the Emmys red carpet is brought to you by Stuart Weitzman. Luxury shoes inspired by women who stand strong and keep moving forward.
That Kristen Wiig number is just stunning. And can I make an observation, since we're talking about fashion, that I'm matching Gary Oldman's necktie, his bow tie. We're both donning the red. She knows what's up. Hey, the 404 team have chatted with Severance's Patricia Arquette, and this is what she had to say.
So Severance, obviously, a lot of nominations, but I'm curious, is there a show that you're not a part of that you wish you could have been a part of?
That's such a hard question. There's so many great... In the history,
Let's say this year. Keep it easy.
Okay, no, I want to go back to Rod Serling. If I can time travel, I want to work with Rod Serling in the original Twilight Zone. But yeah, there's a lot of great shows. Honestly, they're all nominated. The Pit's great, Bear's great, White Lotus is great, Adolescence is great. There's just a lot of amazing shows.
Okay, well, what's more stressful to watch then, the Pit or the studio?
In the studio too. I can't answer that. Everybody has their own,
I'm asking you personally. This is a personal question.
No, I don't judge art like that. It's each its own thing, and also performances maybe carry more weight in a different way for me than for you, and specific performances in specific moments. So I refuse your question.
Worst parking lot in Los Angeles?
The worst parking lot in Los Angeles? Maybe Trader Joe's.
You're the second person to say that. Which Trader Joe's?
On La Brea. But yeah, there's a lot of bad parking lots actually. I hate parking lots where the spaces are too small. I have a small car, and if it's too small for me, I don't know what you're doing through SUV.
Thank you, Patricia. I really appreciate it.
Hearing Patricia Arquette confess that she has a small car, knowing that the car that she drove in Severance was also a character in itself, I think that that's so funny. Back onto Severance, I love talking about Patricia Arquette's role within this, because she's done such an amazing job of sort of going from the well put together, almost CEO version, someone who's very in charge, to someone who's absolutely losing the plot. How has her difference from season 1 to season 2 been for you?
Well, first of all, I kind of miss her in season 2 because she was in so much more of season 1.
Yeah.
But what we do get of her in season 2 is really interesting. I think one of the reasons why I find both Cobell and Milchek really, really fascinating characters, especially as we move forward, is they're the two characters who really don't have anyone, right? So Cobell is totally, at this point, pushed out of Lumen, and I don't think she cultivated much of a life out of that. And then Milchek, obviously he's a company man, but Lumen at this point is just being so condescending to him, just really pushing him down. So is he going to start siding with the innies? I don't think so. But again, I think that's truly the strength of Severance. You have these really strong characters and you don't know where they're going to go. We still have so many questions. And again, I'll be tuning into season 3.
I feel like Cobell's downfall was her obsession with Mark's innie and outie life, and that kind of was the spiral that took her to where she is now. She did have I don't think it's fair to say a controversial episode, but she did have an episode in season 2 dedicated to her, which did unfold a little bit more of the story. What's your thoughts with the audience? Are you kind of siding for the fact that it wasn't the best episode, or do you think it was really pertinent to the plot and narrative?
So a little bit of both. I hate to say it, but I did find myself a little bored watching that episode. I feel like they could have done more emotionally with it. I feel like there could have been more performance on the table. But at the same time, getting to know that backstory about Lumen and, the effects of what they're doing to the people, that is really interesting and I think necessary to see. I just wish they did it in a little more compelling way. I hate to be a hater, but I was not a huge fan of that episode.
Do you think the expectations are heightened because we have to wait week to week for episodes?
I actually do. I think that's part of the joy of Severance. I watched it week to week, and I was hopping on Reddit with everybody else, seeing all the theories. But I actually wonder if you binge it, do you get less of the effect of the slow parts of season 2?
I can tell you that because I binged it.
You binged it?
Yes,
Okay.
there was too long between seasons 1 and season 2, and so I waited.
Yeah.
I heard the hype of season 1 so much so, but I binged season 1 and 2 back to back, and it was a thrill ride, and I don't think I would have liked to have waited.
See, that's a really interesting discussion too, because I'm always going to be team week to week. I want a water cooler moment. I want something to talk about with the coworkers on Monday. But with a show like Severance that is so slow burn, and you can even say that for parts of The White Lotus as well, I think it does benefit from a binge model. But selfishly, I like to talk with my friends about it and have watch parties. I mean, that finale was such a moment. I don't think you would have gotten that with a binge watch, right?
I did, but I was not ready for what happened in the finale, and the payoff was fantastic.
Oh my gosh, I was at a watch party for that. We were gasping, we were pausing to like, keep up with the finale. It was so incredible to watch that and have no idea where it was gonna go.
And the thing is, like, when you look at the mood that Severance puts you through, it demands that you think. You're left in the dark, you're asking all these questions. I feel like it's a very different vibe to the other highly nominated show, The Pit. Do you think that these are mood watchers, or do you think that it's about the way the show is done is deserving of the nominees? You know what I mean? So it's like, do you want to think or do you want comfort?
Yeah.
What do you think's going to take home the Emmys between those two shows specifically in the environment that we're in now watching television?
Well, here's what I'll say about The Pit. I think it's so funny that, you know, the new kid on the block, which is The Pit, you know, we have all these returning nominees with Severance, with The White Lotus, with The Last of Us, but The Pit is one of the big newcomers, and it is kind of nostalgic still, because it pulls on those heartstrings that ER did. It does hearken to a bygone era that we don't see as much. I mean, yes, we had Grey's Anatomy and things like that, but I think there was kind of a yearning for that kind of television again, and the fact that it is done so well, and the fact that it is so stressful, and I think there's been a lot of thought and consideration about healthcare workers over the past few years. I think it just slid in at the right time, and I if you have to ask me what's going to win, I think, the competition is truly between Severance and The Pit. I'll be shocked if one of those two don't win. I think all the momentum is with The Pit, though.
I love that. So HBO Max's medical drama, The Pit, scored 13 nominations. Series star and executive producer Noah Wyle, nominated for Outstanding Actor in a Drama, was a guest on our Envelope Drama Roundtable and discussed his role of Dr. Michael Robbie Robinovich.
How would I describe Dr. Robbie? Very capable, very intelligent, very compassionate, very earnest, dependable, responsible, unexamined, drowning, in denial, and probably not great dating material currently.
These series are largely confronting or commenting on real-world anxieties or subjects changing in our world in real time, and you're bringing to life the human impact of that. Noah, let's start with you. What does Dr. Robbie represent?
ER was very much a patient-centric show in a lot of ways, and this was more of an exercise to be practitioner and physician-centric, to really show the toll that the last 5 years since COVID has taken on that community. And the thesis being that it is as fragile as the mental health of the people that we have in those jobs and the quality of the support they receive. So even though, we had to peer into a crystal ball and try and figure out a year ago what would be the topical cases of today, we were really more interested in how everybody's coping mechanisms have allowed them to practice what they've been doing for the last 5 years, how they've compartmentalized the toll it's taken on them personally, and explore that in real time, aggregate tension on a shift where you're just embedded with them without release. So that was, the outset was more about identifying the mental health of the practitioner than identifying the ills in society, but they kind of dovetail together.
We're getting slammed up there. We've had dozens of shooting victims. You've seen it. The fact that we've saved as many people as we have is a fucking miracle. What you did save Leah? No, I didn't.
It all adds up to what I would classify, everybody else classifies as moral injury that these people go through every day when you're trying to do the best job you can, but you're systematically destined to fail because of the lack of support. It takes a real toll on psyches. So that was the goal.
Thesis accomplished.
In the pit, you're tackling grief. Tell me about what it was like exploring those emotions in your characters.
We have been having a lot of discussions with The Pit and Severance, so we're going to go to the carpet right now with Britt Lauer.
The opposite, really stressful shows, The Pit and The Studio. Did you watch either of those? And if so, which one do you think was more stressful?
Oh my gosh. I mean, yeah, they're both very stressy shows. I would have to say The Pit. I mean, The Pit.
A lot of people agree with you. Do you have a least favorite parking lot in LA?
I don't have an answer for that. I live in New York.
You know what? Honestly, good for you. You don't have to deal with the parking lots here. I'm jealous. You have great public transit. Cool. All right. Well, thank you so much. Enjoy. Yeah, thanks.
Very interesting to hear the actress from Severance talk about The Pit as well. So Emmy-nominated showrunner from The Pit, R. Scott Gemmell, was a guest on our Envelope Writers Roundtable, where he discussed the ripped from the headlines feel of the show.
It came from trying to create a character who was very confident. Dr. Robbie, we wanted to show, someone at their best as a physician, but also someone who's gone through COVID and how that affected them. So Robbie is certainly a flawed character who has to deal with some PTSD that he's been shoving down, and the first season of the show, it finally comes to a head, and that's when he has his big meltdown.
Scott, on The Pit, you're tackling issues like the measles outbreak or violence against healthcare workers. How closely are you working with consultants to break these stories?
On any given day, we have a doctor on set who's a technical advisor, and a lot of my background actors are real nurses, so I have a lot of that going on. My right-hand man is Dr. Joe Sachs. Joe and I go back to ER days, and he's still practicing medicine. He's the kind of guy who went to med school and film school at the same time, so a little bit of an overachiever. And I have a new doctor. We just hired Dr. Mel Herbert, who used to run AMRAP, which was a program they do for emergency physicians every month, basically, and all over the world, to teach them about new techniques and new problems. And then right now, especially right now, while we're in sort of prep for next season when writing, every week we probably have 2 or 3 experts come in and will talk to us about whether it's potential measles outbreak, whether it's, a lot of times we'll say to the medical community, and before we even started, it was a return to it for me, and I'd been away for a while, and it was sort of like, what's changed, what's gotten better, what hasn't. And a lot of times it's, asking them, whether it's nurses or, people who we talk about human trafficking, child abuse, any of these topics, we talk to the professionals, and, what do you not see being on television? What would you like the audience to know? What do you want people to know about your job or this condition or this situation that we're not being told? Mm-hmm. So we try to make it as authentic as possible. And I think part of the reason we've gotten some nice feedback is because the medical professionals have embraced the show, and we've shown what it is that they go through. And I don't think people realize, just how, we were at home watching television while COVID was going on, and these people were, in some cases dying, or, and afterwards there were a lot of suicides because the stress was just, it was horrific, and it's really had long-term effect on these people, in terms of the post-traumatic stress disorders and things like that.
We saw 112 mass casualty patients come through here in the last 4 hours, and 106 of them are gonna live. None of us are going to forget today, even if we really, really want to.
I love New York. Every moment here is alive with activity. Tourists, traffic, trash. In all the hustle and bustle, I can't help but wonder, did anybody notice my shoes?
We are going to see how the show The Pit does in real time, and thanks to Alex, who's going to be back with us in a little bit with final predictions. But with the Emmys, we have to talk fashion, and I'd like to welcome two people with impeccable style and taste. Los Angeles Times image contributor Dave Schilling and LA Times Studios Angelica Coronado. Welcome to the table. How are you both?
Thank you.
Happy
I'm
Sunday.
very happy to be here.
I love that you are so dressed up as we talk fashion as well, and I feel like I'm in good hands to have this conversation. Dave, you have covered red carpets for Image magazine, and you've been seeing an evolution in men's looks on the carpet. Tell us about the suit and tie.
Well, I mean, today I've been kind of shocked at how many traditional menswear elements have been used by people that otherwise I think would be dressed kind of boring. You know, I think I've seen tailcoats, I've seen cummerbunds, I've seen all of these things. I've seen pleated tuxedo shirts. These are old school kind of traditional menswear pieces. And so I think these things are being played with in a really interesting way. It's now, you know, kind of nostalgia, but also forward-thinking and futuristic, and it's exciting.
Do you think men are being rewarded for taking more risks with fashion?
You have to be, because it's important for men to now be as, I guess the word is outrageous as the women. You know, you want to be noticed. Instagram is such a big part of this business now, being famous, that you have to be noticed, you have to wear things that are exciting.
When everyone wants to be famous, what are you doing to stand out? Absolutely. Angelica, before we dive in today, you're also a glam expert, and I love that just by looking at you, we can tell with that one. What advice do you have for people walking the carpet? Because it can be so stressful.
I mean, it's so stressful. I always say, again, dress for your body, be comfortable, stay true to your personal style. And, you know, like he said, don't try to conform, because, you know, standing out is very tough while looking glamorous, while having the perfect posture, while making sure everything looks perfect and in place. But of course, like, just confidence, stay true to yourself.
It's really interesting watching it, especially on the couch, as we do all the time. I could have done that. I would have done that. But when we were talking just before about the artistry of the pose, shoulders back, making sure your angles are great.
It's so true.
I was going to say, who's done a really good job, do you think, with posing on that carpet?
Well, I was actually just talking to Dave about this. I always say, like, my classic Emmys, you know, MVP has always been Jen Aniston. She kind of changes it up. She stays true to herself, but she, like, you know, her personal style. And she always, like, kind of does something a little different and always looks so postured. I love Jennifer Aniston. She has such great Emmy looks.
And practice makes perfect there.
Yeah.
She's been doing this.
She's a vet, yeah.
A while now. No one gets ready for the Emmys and is like, oh, maybe I'll be on the worst dressed list. It does happen. What do you think someone has to do to earn their spot as worst dressed?
I think you have to do something purposely to upset someone.
Statement making.
What if I,
making a statement.
What if I wore a bright red spangly tuxedo jacket? I saw one of those today. I'm not trying to put this person on blast. I don't think that they're famous or anything, but that's a thing that you do if you want someone to be like, oh, no. But if you think you look good, is that more important than being on a list? I think so. Just be happy, as you were saying.
I think they'd rather be noticed than to have good fashion. And I feel like you can definitely tell the ones that are doing that, or to make a statement a lot of the time. So we've seen that today too.
Can you pull off outrageous looks if you've got the confidence to back it up?
My mother did for years. I'm sure she's watching today and she's like, you're right, I did have confidence. That's all it takes.
Confidence is everything.
Yes, you can have the most expensive outfit in the whole world. If you don't believe that you look good, you don't look good.
But then the opposite side of that, if you wanted to play it safe for fear of being worse dressed, that's also a bit of a snafu.
You could run into being too boring or too predictable, which is also not good on, we can't win. You know, people are always gonna critique if you're too simple or if you're too, you know, over the top.
And there's also a really another interesting take here. If you are someone's plus one, let's say you were attending with your date who is nominated, how do you avoid stealing the spotlight? How do you make sure that your partner is the one who is getting all the notice?
Wearing a burlap sack, I think is
wearing
helpful.
a trash bag.
Anything,
or just a very simple black dress. With pulled back hair. And just, you know, kind of, you know, be a little bit behind the fray and not, you know, wear the most sequin ball gown with a train or like a bridal look. You know, definitely let your person shine.
If you're not a star, don't try to be a star.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
Well, someone who makes gorgeous fashion choices, Bowen Yang, who's currently on the carpet right now, live for the Emmys. I feel like if there were anyone's outfit we could weigh in on live, it would be Bowen Yang, who's often kind of using his flamboyant nature to really sell some of these looks that we've had. And I love that about him. What are your thoughts on Bowen? And hopefully we'll get a little glance at what's happening because the carpet is live at the moment. But we were talking, Dave, about men's fashion.
Yes.
And what to do and what new different things, and having a partner and seeing if they stay in the spotlight here. But there's Bowen's look. What's your take on this?
Okay, so there is a thing now, I think a lot of people don't know what this is. It's called fashion black tie. It is not black tie in the traditional sense. It is something that is avant-garde, something kind of strange, but it still looks like you're allowed to be on a red carpet. And that's what this is. You know, he's wearing a cut-off shirt, you know, no sleeves, but he's still wearing tuxedo trousers. He's still wearing, I assume, you know, nice black shoes. There's that one thing that's a little different, and that is, to me, fashion black tie. It's a new thing that I think is taking over red carpets right now.
And you know what I've noticed? A lot of sleeveless, and he just did it right there. Like, he definitely looks like he should be on a carpet, but it's like so casual too.
Getting the arms out.
Yeah.
Now, I think this is what we were talking about. If you've got the confidence to back it up, if you know you're rocking your arms, I do say though, there's a lot that goes into a look that is often not talked about. And I don't mean to out Bowen just there, but a spray tan wouldn't go astray. What do you think?
I wrote that down for one of the girls on that I saw on the carpet already. I wish she just, you know, she looked great, but there was like a whiteness to the chest. So I'm like, I wish she just, a little bronzer never hurt nobody.
Never been a problem for me.
We've got Caitlin Dever, who's actually on the carpet right now with a very fantastic look. I'd love to weigh in on this one as well. I'm a big fan of Caitlin. I think she's fantastic. And she's doing something quite interesting, I believe, with a jacket-esque type look here. Now, I think that this is absolutely stunning and age appropriate for her as well. From the back, it would look like something maybe an older actress would wear, but when she rocks it around to the front, boom.
Nothing says
Spin.
I'm young like a crop top.
We love that.
I'm going to say very Bob Mackie.
Very Bob,
probably.
so true, yes.
And then we've got the traditional tuxedo here as well. We were talking about men's fashion, trying to spice it up. Can you go wrong? Tracy Lex is here, but can you go wrong with just the tuxedo?
You can't go wrong with that as long as it fits, as long as you have all the elements, to have the studs, to have the, you know, the cummerbund, all of the proper shoes. You can't go wrong. You will look good. You just won't be on a list.
Oh, I'm loving this look as well with the short hair and the powder blue dress.
I've seen a lot of powder blue.
Yeah. It's Carrie Coon who's in Severance and doing an amazing job here. What are your thoughts on, it's almost a Cinderella-esque look here.
This is the second Cinderella-esque powder blue I've seen. I don't know if I wish I was a little longer or a little shorter, but I think it fits her blonde hair very well. Understated accessories. This one doesn't need a tan. She looks great.
The short hair makes me think she's
yeah.
Michelle Williams.
Oh,
I did think it was her
I thought it was her. I thought it was her.
Not Michelle Williams, folks.
But actually, now that I see the shoes, I kind of like the length of the dress. I think it looks very prim and proper.
You get to show off
very
the ankle
sweet.
straps.
Very sweet.
Dave and Angelica, whose looks are turning heads so far lately? Have you been able to glance more of the fashion that's been happening?
Let me think who's been...
I love Walton Goggins all the time, and Walton Goggins is one of those people doing something kind of like a fashion black tie where it's not black tie. He looks like the party's already over. And I always find that to be a fun look. It's very louche and relaxed, but it's dressed up, and it's like, I'm here to have a good time. Maybe I've already been having a good time for a while. I think he always looks great.
You know, I've seen Timothée Chalamet. Where did he wear like an all yellow suit? It was very like out of the box, and I feel like guys, like we've been talking about this whole time, have been taking a lot of risks and like just having fun with textures and tweed and satin and mixing a lot of stuff. I've been seeing that a lot from Timothée Chalamet.
Well, speaking of women's fashion, because I feel like there's so much room where you can explore and you can get it wrong. What are some trends that have been working lately?
I mean, metallic, especially on the red carpet, metallic is always in. I've been seeing a lot of pastels today and classic red. Everyone, look at, perfect example. People love doing a classic red. You're almost like monochromatically matching the carpet too. So I feel like you cannot go wrong with classic red.
Well, we've been talking about the red carpet looks this entire time. We're going to throw it over right now to our 404 crew who's been chatting with the stars on the carpet right here for the Emmys. Javier Bardem has just shown up, so let's take a glance at what's happening right now.
Did you watch The Pit or The Studio? And if so, which one did you think was more stressful?
I haven't watched much. and I'm here just to denounce the genocide in Gaza, because the IAGS, the International Association of Genocide Scholars, who study thoroughly the word genocide, has declared it a genocide. And that's what we call for a commercial and diplomatic blockade and sanctions on Israel to stop this genocide. Free Palestine.
Thank you.
Speaking of fashion looks, Javier Bardem rocking a scarf right there. I'd love for you to weigh in on this look.
I'll let you take this.
Well, I mean, he's making a political statement, which we just heard in the video. I think that's a very bold and brave thing to do. Not a lot of people are speaking out in how they believe about this particular issue, and so I think it's great.
I feel like he's following a trend. There's another person on the carpet that's making a political statement. So I feel like we're going to kind of have a lot of that maybe today.
I feel like if we can do it with fashion as well, let the fashion do the speaking for you as well. And I think if there's ever a platform to be able to discuss this, then an Emmys red carpet.
I was going to say, the world's watching, so.
That's it.
Sure.
What a place to do it. Now, we caught a little glimpse of Gwendolyn Christie in that shot as well. The height difference personally was just astounding.
I think I saw her just here.
Her with everyone, but especially Javier, yes.
I don't mean to get the giggles, but Javier was basically up to her shoulder on that one. But she was wearing a crisp suit. Gwendolyn Christie known for dropping and wearing and owning suits on the carpets. What did you think about that look from the little glimpse that we saw?
I mean, she's a powerful individual, and when she wears menswear, it has a different kind of connotation, different aesthetic. I think she looks great when she does it, but she's also incredibly glamorous. She does a lot of modeling herself. I think she's always looking good on the red carpet.
Yeah, she's impeccable.
Yeah,
she has such an amazing presence. Yeah, she definitely still brings the glam, even though she has menswear on. She looks great.
I also want to talk about makeup as well, especially with you.
Okay, this is all you.
Because we talk.
Some today.
You look amazing. We do talk and put so much emphasis on the fashion, but the complete package is what's important. Making sure that the hair and the makeup and even the accessories are built together to make a beautiful cohesion in what's presented. What have you loved with the makeup and hair looks?
So I always say makeup and hair always comes after the dress. Whenever I have a client, the first thing they do is they get their dress and then the hair, and then makeup is always last because, with actresses, you want them, not to have too much makeup on. I've been seeing a lot of minimalism. I feel like, minimalism is back, glossy, a lot of blush. I've seen a couple girls on the carpet today that the main focus is their eyebrows and their blush. The blush is going a little bit higher these days. It's not so much on the ball of the cheeks. It's a little, coming into the temples. It's giving almost like sunburnt, but, and it is after summer, so I think it's very appropriate. Yeah, it looks great.
I love that so much. If you were to give any sort of advice, let's say use an example because I'm right here. I'm trying my darndest. What would you help with?
With you? Not a darn thing. I would have made maybe a bigger earring.
I could have done a little bit
Maybe
more.
a bigger earring.
You know what? My accessory at the moment is someone talking into my ear. And
you already have an earpiece. That's your earring for today.
That's it. Now, we are seeing a lot of actors showing up who might not be nominated for an Emmy, but they're still rocking the carpet. Out of the looks that we've seen, have you had any favorites? Have you been able to see who's been rocking the carpet so far?
Yeah, I mean, I love Paul Downs, who is one of the creators of Hacks. He is wearing a tailcoat, which is a very traditional sort of formal attire piece, plus a jaunty neckerchief. There's been a lot of looks where there's no tie, there's a scarf, there's a neckerchief, there's something. People are experimenting with the neck region right now from a menswear perspective.
I feel like the only thing missing is a top hat.
Right? It's very...
Why not?
Performer-ish.
Let's have the Monopoly guy on the show next time.
And now for my
Or the
next trick. Anyway,
mine, yes. I actually saw a girl. She's an influencer. Her name's Haley Khalil. She has this gorgeous emerald green off the shoulder with like a big, it's like a train, and she has her hair pulled back in this Grecian tight updo bun, and she just looks so stunning, and she looks very regal. She looks like a trophy, actually. Very minimalist in the jewelry, but it's good because the color of the dress and her updo is like speaking volumes. She looks stunning. Yeah.
We haven't been speaking about Paradise yet. We've been talking about a lot of the Emmy-nominated shows like The Pit, like Severance, but I would love to put a bit of emphasis on Paradise, speaking of beautiful fashions that we've seen. Sterling K. Brown is someone that we've been speaking to recently about Paradise. Let's have a little look of what he's been saying about the show.
Xavier Collins is the character that I play on Paradise. He's a Secret Service agent for the president. Kind of strong, silent type, very different than Randall Pearson from This Is Us. He's dealing with grief. He's lost his wife. He's raising 2 children on his own, and he's just trying to figure out how to make the best of his life one day at a time.
Well, Sterling, in Paradise, your character Xavier is in this post-apocalyptic world, and he's just lost his wife, and he's trying to raise his kids, all while still doing his job. Talk to me about getting in that headspace.
He still has purpose, even though he feels like he's doing it without half of his body. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think anybody goes into parenthood planning to do it by themselves. And so, like, he has such a deep, abiding love for his wife. So thankfully, I have 19 years of deep, abiding love for my wife, because we basically just have life experience and imagination. And sometimes one trumps the other. You know what I'm saying? Oftentimes you have to, but the imagination is, I don't put it in second. Like, they're right there with each other. And then there's the game that you play that you ask as an actor, like, what is it like if a bomb hits my wife and she's all of a sudden just gone? And you have to actually sort of live in that space. Calls are dropping, not getting through, so I didn't know for like the last 10 minutes.
Xavier, calm down.
And now she's stuck there, and you said that you were gonna get her a plane.
Agent Collins, calm down. Where are your kids?
At school, I think, with your son.
Okay, then they're right where they need to be.
And what I love about crews, and you guys probably echo this as well as I do, they know when things are light, and they know when it's like you need your moment. Yeah. And you see, like, the crew just all of a sudden they're just like not even, they just do their thing as you're walking through in your sort of like fugue state of like whatever it is that you have to do to accomplish this. Is like, these people, like everybody, the vibe on set just changes. Because they're like, oh, they're giving you your space so you can do what it is that you got to do, you know?
And you know when you've crushed it because you look over and you Cobra guys.
They'll hit you. Yeah, it is. It's a beautiful thing because it's not theater, but you do get feedback. You do get feedback on set, which is really great.
How did like This Is Us prepare you for people sort of being really into the twists and figuring things out with Paradise?
I mean, very well. You know, you become a master of talking about the show without talking about the show. You know, it's basically what you do. And you never want to ruin it for them, because I think when you read the script and you find out how Jack dies, et cetera, like, you're like, oh man, they killed that. And so the idea of telling somebody before they actually get a chance to see it, it just never occurs to me. I was like, no, you'll see it. I don't tell my wife, I don't tell my kids, whatnot. It's like, it'll play out. It's like, we find out how they got into the bunker? I'm like, yeah, you find out. I find out who killed the president? Yeah, you find out. It's cool. But in terms of going online and seeing how people were reacting to it, this was actually quite joyful, because I didn't anticipate the excitement that the show was able to garner or whatnot, and to see just the level of enthusiasm that folks, the buy-in, because it's a big buy-in that you're asking people to, you know, believe that the world is ended, they're living in a mountain, et cetera, and that there's a step, but everybody was willing to take that step with us, and it was joyful. I loved it.
We're going to be going to the red carpet right now, where we have Seth Rogen here at the Emmys.
And push me. If I'm in your shot.
Okay. You're in our shot. You were in our shot. That's what happened. This is the red carpet at the Emmys. It's over already. And I have a feeling if you've got Seth Rogen, it's only for a few seconds at a time, because he's so hot right now. We had Paul Downs, who is it Downs that you was wearing
co-creator of Hacks, wearing a tailcoat.
I need to see this look immediately. So let's try to pull up Paul Downs' look if we can, because this is one of your highlights. You specialize in men's fashion.
The neckerchief is such an interesting choice. Again, this feels like after the party is over, now you've
let your hair down, let your tie down.
Yes, but it is, again, traditional menswear look here. You've got the regular old tuxedo trousers, you've got the tailcoat, all that stuff.
I have to say, I love the juxtaposition between the casualness of the neck styling with the tails on the jacket. That's such a beautiful look.
It's nostalgic, but it's also modern, like I was saying before. That's the way of menswear right now, I think.
And taking risks, even though it's subtle. It's not too overbearing, but it is a nudge in a great direction, I feel. Let's throw to the next look on the carpet that we can weigh in on here, even though I'm absolutely digging that. Turns out, nope, we're not going to look at anyone else. It's Paul Downs for the next 5 minutes.
He would be thrilled. He's like, oh, yeah.
Just kidding. Let's have a look at this outfit right now. It's how would you describe this one?
This is pretty. It's very Grecian. It's very classic. I mean, like I say, white is always super popular on the carpet. It fits it pretty much fits every skin tone. She had a very casual.
That was Michelle Williams, by the way.
Was it Michelle Williams?
I thought
Carrie
that
Coon
was
looks
Carrie
more like.
Coon.
Oh my God, she looks. Michelle Williams looks so young.
I got tricked.
I had no idea it was her.
This is Anna Sawai. She was last year's winner of Shogun. She actually always hits for me. I think she does such an amazing job with her stylist, who just brings her to her game every single time. But what do you think about the sleeve number?
She always has a very nice silhouette. She again dresses for her body. She likes a nice form fitted, and she likes a little bubble at the bottom. She likes a train.
I feel
and
like
she
we're moving through these so
Yeah,
fast.
I know, right?
Yeah, on to the next
Who do
one
we have here now?
already.
I'm glad you brought up stylist, because that is the #1 most important thing about this industry right now is you have a stylist and you have someone that allows you to not have to think about it. I have to get up every day and think about what I'm going to wear. You don't have that problem here.
This just makes me want to scream, Kevin! But that's because I am a millennial.
Catherine O'Hara, yes.
Catherine O'Hara in The Last of Us Season 2 playing a therapist. I love what she's been wearing here with the longer, is it what would you call it, a three-quarter sleeve? With a billowing gown skirt as well.
I wish I got a better look at it, but yeah, it was very classy.
Do you think it is harder for sort of like how do I say this, more graceful actresses who've been doing this for some time to stay relevant with fashion?
I feel like if they hit a certain age, they've definitely already established their fashion, and they just have to keep going with it and play around with maybe textures and since the Emmys is a little bit more of a casual, glam red carpet, they can play around with a lot of people they wear their hair down. They're not doing the updos and the crazy glitzy dresses. They're doing black, hair down, casual, so they can play around with it. I actually feel like they do a great job of playing around with it. They just, change it up with colors and textures.
I did see an amazing sort of in-depth look at Helen Mirren, who would wear stripper heels. I'm talking, 8-inch, transparent stripper heels that she actually got from an adult store in West Hollywood on Sunset because she loved the fact that she was 8 inches taller. Oh, and there was a whole montage of her wearing it to red carpets for about 15 years.
No way.
And the reason why I brought that up was because I thought that comfort would be far more crucial the older you get when you have an award ceremony like this, because it does drag on for hours. Not Dame Helen Mirren.
She probably got so used to it. I didn't actually realize that she's tiny. I did not, for some reason, when she's on screen, I think that she's tall. She has such a presence. She's so commanding. And then I saw her in, I think it was the Western show that she was in, and she is so little next to Harrison Ford. It was. Now it makes sense.
Now you know the
She looks so tall on the red carpet.
It's stripper heels. Well, fashion for the different red carpets over all the award ceremonies have been happening for absolute decades. Angelica, I want to know from you, what is your favourite look of all time from a red carpet at an award show?
It might be a little bit casual, but what was her name? Oh, Hilary Swank, when she was in Guy LaRouche in 2005, she had this beautiful long sleeve navy backless with a huge train, and she had her hair pulled back in this low knot. I think they call it a low knot bun, and her back just looked so ripped, and it was perfect for her body. I think she won that year, correct? She won, and I remember seeing that, and I was like, that is the dress. If I'm ever going anywhere, that's the dress I want to wear, in a different color maybe. But yeah, it was beautiful for her. It was
I do love that they, with women's outfits, you get to show off different parts, and the fact that it was her back.
It was her back.
Was so empowering.
And she was kind of walking the whole time like this, so everybody could see just how in shape she was, and it was perfection. I remember being, at that time I was early 20s, and I was like, oh my God, what a movie star. And
who else do we have on the list?
Who else do we? Stacy Keibler, a little unconventional. Stacy Keibler in Marquesa in 2010. She had this gold, it was almost like a floral, peplum right here. It was off the shoulder, it was metallic gold. And she really looked like a Barbie. She looked like a statue herself. And I remember seeing that, saying if it doesn't get more perfect and metallic for an award show, Stacy Keibler did it really, really well. I think she was with George Clooney at that time. She almost looked like his, arm candy. She did it perfectly.
Well, it's time for more fashion on the carpet right now as we cross to the Emmys. Who are we chatting to now? Oh, there we go. Oh, this is what
there
we
we
were
go.
talking about earlier. We were talking about sort of bucking the system of what's supposed to be worn on a carpet, but right here, Emmys was more casual. Well, this is probably the most casual you can get.
This is Meg Stalter from Hacks, and this is kind of Meg's thing, right? She dresses in a way that is going to be non-traditional. She at the Las Culturistas Awards on Bravo, she wore a Diet Coke dress. A dress made
With
of
a
like
Diet Coke in
a
her
Diet Coke box, and then she was carrying a Diet Coke. And this is, even more in that vein in that it's completely stripped down, completely casual, plus she has the ceasefire message on her bag. And I think it's really important for celebrities now to dress for their brand, not just to look good, but what do people expect you to look like when you're out? And Meg's brand is to be provocative and to be transgressive.
She loves a prop.
She does love a prop, yeah.
And I think she's making a statement with her glasses, with her flats, with her jeans, with her white T-shirt, and of course with the purse and the message she's trying to send. And she's going to be what kind of everyone's talking about tomorrow.
I will say this isn't the first time that we've had a political message on a red carpet at all, but this isn't the first time we've had it at this red carpet today.
Yeah.
Why do you think it's so important that actors feel that they can use this as a vessel to kind of say their truth or say their message without actually having to verbalize it?
Well, they know everyone's watching. They know that not everyone's going to watch their show. Not everyone's going to follow them on X or on Instagram. So this is like the perfect opportunity to be on everyone's TV. So it's kind of perfect.
Yeah, also I just think, actors get into the business to speak a truth. If it's an emotional truth or a political truth, and they're going to speak, and I'm glad that they do.
Yeah.
I feel like
they're not shy.
It is an empowering thing to do. Let's have a look at our next look right now. I believe it's Timothy Simons on the carpet right now.
Oh, he's wearing shorts, actually.
This is the shorts look. I don't know how I feel about shorts
Let's
on the red
process it
carpet.
together.
I have no problem with shorts and a suit or an even tuxedo jacket. I think it just doesn't look great with Timothy because his legs are so long.
tall,
He's too
I know.
tall.
Maybe they couldn't find pants that fit.
We all have that. You and I have that problem. We all have that problem. But I don't know. When I think of shorts, I get what they're trying to do. But like the place that I really, really love to see a short is like the beach. Not so much. I don't really like seeing it on the red carpet. I get what they're trying to do, though.
I'm a bit disappointed we're not panning down as well.
I know.
Oh, I love a velvet, a velour look.
Oh, this is great,
Especially
yeah.
in chocolate from Seth Rogen here. Let's
Seth
weigh in
Rogen
on this
likes
man's
a lot
look.
of earth tones. He likes a lot of texture like this, like a velvet kind of thing. So I'm not surprised. He made a show at the studio that feels like a 70s throwback in a lot of
It's
ways.
retro.
And so I think he's dressing for the show that he made and also his preferred aesthetic.
I think he looks fantastic.
That color
in
looks
that
great on
suit
him,
as
too.
well.
Yeah. I do love velvet on a guy. If I see a man in a great velvet tux, I'm just like, that's Hollywood. That's Cary Grant. It's Hollywood.
I feel like we haven't seen chocolate brown as a color for a suit, like a velvet suit. Velvet
today, at
usually
least,
goes
yeah.
into sort of like your maroons or an
Maroons,
emerald green.
navies.
Exactly. So that's a lot of fun as well.
Yeah, he looks great.
Yeah, Maddie Matheson from The Bear is actually wearing a chocolate brown tuxedo tonight, but not in the velvet that you're describing. So I think, yes, you're right. It is very unique.
Emmys of the night for television. We have Lorne Michaels from SNL. Let's have a look at his look right now. Do you think Lorne wants to be here?
I feel like Lauren always wears the same exact thing.
If it ain't broke, why
If it ain't
fix
broke.
Still mad they didn't hire me.
Next year.
No,
I'll put in a good word for you.
No, I'm retired from comedy, as you can tell.
You're never retired from comedy.
We were just talking about velvet in sort of the traditional colours, and Mariska Hargitay here from Law & Order is rocking this more maroon
she
sort
looks
of
beautiful.
burgundy colour. I love this.
Oh, she
I
looks
love her.
Beautiful.
I mean-
This fits perfectly. It's not, sometimes it can be a little too tight up here. She looks great, and I love that she just kept her hair down. She's
It's a sophisticated Jessica Rabbit, but instead of like that
I love
bright red, it's that more, we've got the train.
It's like fall is coming, and this is the dress you're supposed to wear.
I absolutely adore this look.
Yeah, she looks great.
If anybody knows old Hollywood, it's Mariska Hargitay.
Very true.
We were actually talking about trains as well. Sometimes they, require a little bit of an additional help to get the look, to make sure that they are splayed properly. What are your thoughts on a train usually for something like the Emmys?
I think I like a train. I feel like the dress can't wear you. Again, we were talking about confidence. You have to have that air about you to like really have a train not wear you. You have to own it more, you have to make sure you own it. Yeah. I like a train.
Yeah, you have to hire an intern or some sort of college student to carry it around for you, which is a flex.
Dave, weren't you saying that your goal is to be the train fluffer on the carpets?
Well, next awards, I'm gonna wear a train. You're gonna be.
I'm gonna be your fluffer. Yeah, well, I mean, I feel like that's a step up from this. This has been great, but also I'm not there. I want to be there, and so if I have to carry somebody's dress, so be it.
Where was Mariska Hargitay calling you up for that aid? The picture did look
I left
amazing.
my phone over there, so maybe she's
Well,
been
this could be your
calling.
pitch.
I don't know. Excuse me, Mariska?
Let's have a look at our next fashion look on the carpet here. I believe it's,
Oh,
there you
I
go,
love
Sarah
this.
Bach.
I love this. I love her in Severance. She is very young. She looks like a Disney princess. It's the second time we're seeing pastel blue on the carpet, and it's so age appropriate. It's so important for, like, when I see a young girl, especially a young actress, to look demure. And you know, she just looks so classy and sweet, and she looks so innocent.
We've got Jason Isaacs on the carpet right now.
Nice.
You see a parking meter somewhere, and you just feel like, you know, you've won the lottery.
It's a
very Los Angeles thing.
It's a very contentious topic here. Lastly, I would love if you could do a Piper No impression for us.
That's
not
Parker's line. I don't do Parker's line.
Okay, fair enough. Cool. Well, thank you so much. Enjoy.
Jason Isaacs, who's nominated tonight for The White Lotus, and it's so funny that this one singular line from the season has taken everyone by storm. Does anyone here at the table have a good Piper No?
Well, I don't watch I've never seen an episode of White Lotus, so I don't know.
I don't do impressions.
Oh, okay, I've got you. I need to roll my sleeves up for a second, but it's just a Piper No.
That's pretty good.
You're welcome.
That's pretty good.
I was expecting a little bit more applause from everyone.
Okay, yeah. Also, you know, I think that deserves an Emmy, honestly. That impersonation.
Kindly. And on that note, let's take a quick break here to hear from our sponsors. No, we're not. Everyone loved my
Just
impressions
kidding.
so much.
Keep going.
The sponsors have left.
Do you think something like The White Lotus, which is known for decadence and having lots of money, the way that their characters dressed in the show would actually be emulated on the carpet for something like the Emmys?
It depends. I mean, yeah. Where were they this past season? They were somewhere tropical, right?
I feel like it was Thailand.
It's Thailand, and everyone dressed horribly.
I was gonna say it was very beachy.
Yeah.
Feel that tea.
Yes, it was purposeful. You know, I think that show is so satirical and designed to kind of poke fun at the ultra rich that the costume designers make a very concerted effort to make their characters look a little silly. I wouldn't go to the White Lotus for my fashion tips.
Yeah, me neither.
Well, we've actually got Callista Flockhart, and we did have Harrison Ford ever so briefly rocking a standard tuxedo here. But what do we think about, there he is. Look, he's just trying to support his wife, which I think is beautiful. What's your take on Callista's look here?
Classy, very age appropriate. He looks like he's giving her all of the spotlight right now, which is nice. Yeah, they're a very sweet couple. I actually didn't know they were still together.
They've been really
going forever. They've been, you know, what, 40 years together? Very sweet.
What did you think of Harrison Ford's look?
Yeah.
I have seen a lot of men wearing sunglasses on the red carpet. I know it's daytime. I'm for it, but it's not something that you see all the time. The sunglasses constantly, it reminds me of Jack Nicholson, one of my favorite actors and one of my favorite red carpet figures of all time.
We looked at Sarah Bach a little bit earlier. So talking about age-appropriate attire, Sarah Bach did an incredible job here. This is the actor from Adolescence. What do you think about this look?
He looks very sweet. Is this his mom?
I don't want to assume what the relationship is, but I would say, you know, it reminds me a little bit.
Co-star.
That's Owen Cooper. I believe this is his co-star.
Co-star, yeah.
She's rocking that pose.
Oh, that's a beautiful.
Who's nominated tonight?
His look reminds me of Chalamet at the Oscars, where he wore kind of a track jacket and the tie, you know, playing again with high and low, casual and formal. I think it's great.
Yeah, he looked good.
And moving on again here, what do you think of this member?
I love, as you can tell, I love a cape. One of my top Oscar picks was Gwyneth Paltrow when she wore that white dress with a cape. I think this is very pretty. It's very ethereal. It's very yeah, this is really pretty.
This is Christine.
It also fits her. It fits her body very well. I think she should play a little bit more with her arms, so we could actually see a little bit more of the shape underneath the cape.
See, posing is so
posing is so important. I mean,
there we go.
Yeah,
we got
there you go. Yeah, she should even come out a little bit more.
Hand on your hip.
The hand on the hip is very millennial, I have to say.
It is.
We're a little bit past the hand on the hip, but it works with a cape.
I think one of these is nice.
Oh, where are you
yeah,
going
just
to lean on the carpet?
Right here in your hand.
Yeah, that was very, very, very nice dress.
The cast of Adolescents coming in right now, and all of the actors coming in for the Emmys this afternoon and this evening as we roll through the red carpet. But let's take a break to hear from our sponsor.
I love New York. Every moment here is alive with activity. Tourists, traffic, trash. In all the hustle and bustle, I can't help but wonder, did anybody notice my shoes?
That is. Thanks, Maud. In just a few minutes, we'll be chatting about our favorite looks from the carpet so far today. But first, what makes a look unforgettable? Is it the designer, the silhouette? Can you underdo or overdo a look? And don't forget about the hair and makeup being just as important as the fit. Everything has to match together. Let's look back at last year's Emmys red carpet for some of my favorite styles. First up, we have Anna Sawai, who won for Shogun, dressed in Vera Wang. The mermaid frame with a bubble-flared train fit her like a glove. It seems like Anna loves wearing red, and rightfully so. It matches her skin tone and dark hair beautifully. I also like that she pulled her hair back in a sleek bun, really lets the dress and her face shine. Another fun look that caught my eye was Ayo Adebari from The Bear. Last year, she wore a colorful mosaic custom dress from Bottega Veneta. She left her long, slightly curly hair down to keep the look casual and flirty. And Ripley's Andrew Scott kept his look out of the traditional suit and tie in Vivienne Westwood. He rocked a chocolate brown suit with huge lapels and a ruffled shirt. He called it punk, rock and roll, and beautiful all at once. He says at award shows, you should feel comfortable and most importantly, have fun with your look. Tyler James Williams stunned in a perfectly tailored Dolce & Gabbana. Even though it was all black and sleeveless, it gave understated minimal chic with a beautiful gold hummingbird brooch where a tie would normally go. And my absolute favorite belongs to Kristen Wiig. She shined in a textured gold dress by Oscar de la Renta. It had a strapless silhouette, uneven hem, and a full flowing skirt, kind of looked like an upside down golden tulip. Who will make fashion history today? Stay tuned to find out. Our coverage of the Emmys red carpet is brought to you by Stuart Weitzman. Luxury shoes inspired by women who stand strong and keep moving forward.
Thank you so much, Angelica. It was so wonderful to talk about the fashion, but let's get stuck back into talking about these nominations. And to help me with this, please welcome back Alex Stedman. So great to chat about television with you.
So much TV.
So do you like to laugh?
You know, from time to time, I dabble.
It's so funny because with the comedy field here for television, there are some incredibly funny shows, and there's also shows that say they're a comedy and they're not as funny. But I do think that Apple TV Plus's showbiz comedy, The Studio, is hilarious, and it's nominated for 23 Emmys tonight. Co-creator and star Seth Rogen joined our Writers' Roundtable earlier this year, hosted by LA Times' Yvonne Villarreal.
The character of Matt Remick is largely based on me, honestly. It really came from my own personal fears of how I interact with the industry, how I make my own choices, if I'm making the right choices, the sheer panic that I feel at times while navigating my job in this industry, the awkwardness I feel when interacting with people that I've, again, looked up to my whole life. Yeah, I'd say Matt Remick is mostly based on me.
Seth or Jen, I'm curious, like with shows like yours, are you more interested or what interests you about how viewers react versus how people in the industry are reacting to your shows?
It's a good question. I mean, I hope they're reacting the same, honestly. I mean, I think there's probably a nuance that people in the industry are picking up on. That it's just they more personally relate to it. But yeah, in general, we just wanted to make something that was comedically resonant to people. And I never found, I mean, when I was a kid, my favorite show was like the Larry Sanders Show, and I knew nothing about the inner workings of talk shows, and I didn't even know who half the famous people, I didn't know who like Tom Petty, well, I didn't know who a lot of the people who were lampooning themselves on the show were. I just loved the characters and the storylines and the individual episodes. And so that was really what we tried to do, as I'm sure you know, was to make something that was as personal as we could and as spoke to as many of the truths of our lives that we could, but hopefully presenting them in an episode-to-episode basis in a way that just played like any other comedy in a lot of ways, where you gave them a comedic premise and you set it up and then you pay it off and hopefully wrap it up by the time the episode's over, basically, yeah.
Are you kidding me? The Oneer is the ultimate cinematic achievement, you know? It's like the perfect marriage of artistry and technicality. You got Birdman, Children of Men, Goodfellas, you know?
You know, I was dating Ray Liotta when they shot that. The man had a package like a caramel leather sofa. Rest in peace.
The studio here is up against huge heavy hitters: Abbott Elementary, The Bear, Hacks, Nobody Wants This, Shrinking, and the last season of What We Do in the Shadows. Alex, do you think that Rogan with the studio have this in the bag?
I sure do. Like you said, it's not a weak category by any means. And first of all, I just want to say, for years I've been saying that Martin Scorsese needs his acting Emmy nomination. So glad that the studio gave us that finally.
He was so good. If you haven't seen the studio, please indulge me and watch the first episode. Martin Scorsese is such an incredible guest star, and I did not think he had the acting chops that he does. He is laugh out loud funny.
And he's like breaking out into tears. He's so good. He's like giving it his all. No, but I do think the studio has got this, and I know that's kind of the narrative around town. I think it's correct. You know, it kind of ticks a lot of boxes. It's making fun of Hollywood. Hollywood loves to make fun of itself. It's, you know, as Gary Oldman said, it hits close to home for the people watching. It's actually funny, like you were saying, like The Bear. I'm not laughing when I'm watching The Bear. I'm stressed.
Yes, chef.
Yes, chef. But when I'm watching the studio, I'm laughing. And it's also actually really artfully done. You know, you have that episode with the Oneer, for example. That's a tough thing to do. And I also think there's a lot of love for Rogan himself. You know, not to get too inside baseball, but he really campaigned hard. And I think people just like him. How can you not?
He's doing so well at the moment. This and another show called Platonic. It's actually really, really good television. And Seth Rogen is front and center in this as well. But I have to agree with you with the studio. It ticks so many boxes. And the fact that Gary Oldman, just on the carpet to us right now, said that he loved the studio because he knows the sharks that are getting referenced.
It's accurate. Like, that's so funny to me. Like, it's comedy, but we laugh because it's true.
But it also ramps up the anxiety, just as we saw in that clip there, the way that they use sort of the score that builds up with the little tinkling on the, I can't believe I know the actual drum, but the ride cymbal on that one. I think they do such a great job of building up that tension, having huge personalities, fantastic cameos, and stylistically it looks beautiful too.
Yes, and I think a lot of people can relate to, you know, these very high stakes situations being handled in, you know, somewhat juvenile ways sometimes. Hollywood it's art, it's incredible. We're here celebrating tonight. It is also at times really gosh darn silly. It is some of the reason some of the decisions get made really are just, you know, someone likes this guy, someone's email got lost in their inbox. And I love that the studio touches on that, and the fact that you're seeing the industry resonate with it shows that, you know, Seth Rogen knows what he's talking about when he's talking about this.
We did see Catherine O'Hara on the carpet just earlier. She's having a really great year at the Emmys here as well, not only attached to the studio, but she was in The Last of Us season 2 as well. Are you a big fan of Catherine O'Hara, or is it just me?
No, of course. And her role in The Last of Us is really interesting because I remember when that role was announced, and you know they were making all these big casting announcements, Abby, Isaacs, all these characters that we know from the games, and it was just Catherine O'Hara. And it was like, okay, sure, I'm along for the ride. And she is so memorable in that role. There are times where she's very sardonic. There's times where she's very, very, kind. She's just, come on, how can you not love her?
And her comedic timing in the studio is such an asset as well. Now, listen, we are almost at the finish line. The Penguins' greatest threat in the limited series category is likely Netflix's Adolescence. Co-creator and lead actor Stephen Graham was on the LA Times limited series and television movie Roundtable. The series is nominated for 13 Emmys tonight, including an outstanding actor in a limited or anthology series, or movie nod for Graham as Eddie Miller.
For me, I always wanted Eddie to be very kind of, he's a hard worker money.
And he's a good man who tries to the best of his ability to be a father. But he's not a very tactile man. That vulnerability is there, but it's really buried, and it's buried very deep.
Many of the series that you've represented at this table are dealing with super heavy subjects. So I'm wondering, and I'll start with you, Stephen, with adolescence, are you bringing any of that offset with you? Are you bringing any of that home? Like, do you have, does it weigh on you?
Try not to.
Yeah.
Because I have a home life, which I try to switch off when I leave set. And especially we were working, I mean, Owen was such a wonderful, unique talent, the lad who played Jamie. You know, it's the first real acting he'd ever done in many respects. It was the first professional job he'd had. We did that first episode, and as soon as, this is the beauty of someone like Owen, but as soon as we'd finish it, the end of it was quite heavy and quite emotional in the interview room. And then he'd say cut, and all of us older actors and the crew would be very emotional, and he'd take his hugs, and there'd be like a bit of an applause and stuff like that. Then we'd carry on and we'd talk about it, and everyone would be, where's Owen? Is Owen okay? Where's Owen? Make sure Owen's okay. Is he with his child psychologist? Is he with his tutor? Yeah, Owen's upstairs playing swing ball with his tutor. Do you know what I mean? And it was kind of like, oh, okay, that's the way to do it. Not to take myself too seriously when we say cut, but when I am there, I immerse myself in it, you know what I mean? And I think that takes time. It was a heavy piece to do, and it did have an effect on, most of it. I think when you're watching the crew sometimes, when you're finished and you see the crew, and you see the effect it's had on your crew, I think that's when you're like, oh, wow, okay.
Yeah. Right.
Do you know what I mean? When you see a big, massive rigger, do you know what I mean?
Rip in tears.
Just going like that.
Yes.
And you're walking out and you go, you're all right? And you go, fuck yeah.
You're the best barometer.
You're like, sorry, you're all right? And he's like, he killed me. And it's that kind of thing that you know that you've had an impact together as a collective. So
true.
Yeah.
But it's important, I think, for me personally, and I've learned that over time. Especially, I think let's be honest, we can all be slightly self-obsessed. Do you know what I mean? But my missus she's the best for me, because if I'd phone her and say I had a really tough day, I had to cry all day, and my wife's died of cancer, and it was a really tough one, and it's been a tricky day. She'd go, really? And I'd go, yeah. She'd go, the dog shit all over the living room. I had to go shopping. The fucking bag split when I got to Tesco's. There was a flat tyre. I got home. They've let the kids out of school because there's been a flood. And you've had a hard day pretending to be smart. And then I just kind of go...
Doing make-believe.
Yeah.
Keep you humble.
It's like kind of... Yeah.
You're a good dad, a great dad. But we made him.
So if my dad made me, how did I make that?
What a fantastic show. And to Stephen's point, Adolescence covers some very heavy subject matter with sensitivity. Alex, we were talking earlier and you pointed out that even though The Penguin is a DC Batman show, it also covers some fairly serious and real issues. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, so I really enjoy looking at Adolescence and The Penguin together because, first of all, as I was saying earlier in the drama categories, I really do think it is Severance versus The Pit. And in limited series, it is The Penguin versus Adolescence. And on one hand, you can look at that pairing and say, oh, well, one deals with really heavy real-life subjects and the other is DC escapism. I think that's a really kind of shallow way to look at that. Yes, Adolescence is very heavy in dealing with issues that a lot of parents are dealing with, a lot of young men are dealing with, but The Penguin also has a huge arc about mental health and the way that, it's criminalized with the Kristen Milioti character. So I think they actually have more in common than people might think. And also, it's just proof that Emmy voters won't shy away from some really heavy topics. With Adolescence, I really put it in a similar camp to Baby Reindeer, for example, another big Netflix one that also got a lot of Emmys love. I think Adolescence is probably going to have a pretty good night tonight. But I think they have a lot in common than they don't, and it's interesting to see them paired together in this category.
You were saying Penguin versus Adolescence is happening here, but there is also Black Mirror, Dying for Sex, and Monsters, the Lyle and Eric Menendez story in the Outstanding Limited or Anthology Series category. Do you think the Penguin takes this out?
Can I tell you my overall hot take on limited series?
Yeah.
Okay, so here's how I see it shaking out, and people are going either way with a lot of these categories, I think Adolescence wins the big prize, limited series. In addition to, a lot of the, directing, one guy directed the entire thing. But I think this maybe is going against a lot of the grain, I think the acting categories for limited series will go to the Penguin. I personally would love to see a Colin Farrell, Kristen Milioti joint win. I think there's a lot of respect for, the prosthetics process that Colin Farrell goes through. I think a lot of these actors think, oh my gosh, the amount of time the guy spends in that chair. So that's my overall take. I don't think the Penguin wins overall in the limited series category, but I do think it takes acting, and Adolescence won't come away empty-handed tonight either.
Now, Dying for Sex is one we haven't actually mentioned all that much yet, but it's got a huge name attached to that one. What are your thoughts on Dying for Sex?
Well, that's part of why I say that my acting category take for the Penguin is a little unpopular, because I think the favorite for actress in a limited series is Michelle Williams. And I mean, come on, how can you not put Michelle Williams into the race? Dying for Sex was a huge breakout this year. So I don't think it wins, any of the big prizes outside of potentially actress, and Michelle Williams is a very popular pick for that. But it obviously resonated a whole lot.
We actually had Michelle Williams on a roundtable, her co-star, Jenny Slate, and I'm so excited because I think Jenny Slate is hilarious, but it's so great to see her range in Dying for Sex, and this is what she had to say about being in the show.
Nikki Boyer is a real person who's also my friend now, and it did happen in real life that Molly decided to leave her marriage and decided to ask her best friend to do this with her. And that's a huge, huge move. And Nikki is not someone who's blocked up, and Nikki is also someone who clearly has a true love for Molly. And Molly chooses her because of that, not because she's necessarily the most responsible person.
So, Dying for Sex, it's based on a true story.
Yes.
And of two women, and they did a podcast about this. Two friends, one of them has terminal cancer, and the other is basically the support friend who's there to watch her to the end. You play the woman who watches her to the end.
Yes.
But it's really funny, but it's also it can be incredibly dark and incredibly sad. So what was it like playing that?
In my work at this point, I'm really looking for a variation of intensities, and I have a big appetite for it. Whereas in my life now, I would like there to be less intensity. Like my personal life, I just want to be in the bed with my little 4-year-old and, my husband, and I like cooking dinner every night. It's like a pretty simple thing. But in my work, and it's not that there's repression there, but it's more that I know myself the most of all, that I understand myself the most. We were kind of talking about this before. And so, first of all, I understand that Nikki, who I play, is also a real person, and a person that I respect and care a lot about, and none of us would have had a job if she didn't decide to tell her story and then allow us to adapt it into a podcast. I felt a responsibility to her, and I also felt a real hunger to work when I could and to not simplify the character and lean on any sort of comedy crutches, and to just be really, really prepared, really aware, so that when we got in there, I wasn't just the funny friend or whatever, but an alive person reacting to her beloved friend whose life energy is dwindling away, but weirdly her will to live and thrive is finally blooming really true. And so I felt like it was a really exciting thing to be the companion to that story, where while Michelle Williams, who does a brilliant job in this show, and she's always brilliant, and she's brilliant in a new way. Her energy is extending outward, and she's trying to experiment before she does the greatest experiment of all, which is to cross over into the other side. And my character is really out there, really not out there sort of willy-nilly, but she will yell at people if they are being rude, wasteful, or if she feels it's unjust. Going from blasting to taking all that energy and making it this tight laser and pointing it right into care and knowing more about herself at the end. I don't know if this answers that question, but I loved it.
I did too. I tell you what though, the Emmys red carpet is wrapping up. We got to see some of the amazing fashion that took place and some interviews and a lot of trash talk about Trader Joe's parking lot, which to me gave me life. But our wonderful 404 team wanted to leave a last message from the carpet.
Well, Rebecca, it's nearing the end of the red carpet. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling great. We talked to a lot of people. I saw Seth Rogen. We chatted. Dreams come true.
I got to chat with Gary Oldman. That was a big deal for me. But it looks like, yeah, fewer people coming through. Going to be closing the red carpet soon. And we appreciate you watching. Back to you, Maude.
No, we appreciate you. And it's been so great talking about all the nominations. Obviously, so many different television shows racking up so many nods. What are your final thoughts with the show that will take out the most for the whole evening?
Well, let me just say, first of all, taking a step back from the horse race, what a great batch of shows this year.
We're so lucky.
We never left peak TV. Like, there's so much incredible stuff to watch. But getting back to the horse race, because that's also fun. Drama series, as I said, it's a competition between Severance and The Pit.
Choose.
The Pit takes it.
Okay.
But if I could just say, if Andor does pull out a dark horse win, you will hear me yelling in Hollywood. I will be so happy. That's not going to happen. It will be Severance of The Pit. I am putting my bets on The Pit. Comedy, I think that's also a lock for the studio. Are they going to give it to What We Do in the Shadows for their last season? Probably not. Abbott Elementary still does have love. Hacks, I think, is the potential spoiler for the studio. Another Hollywood adjacent story. But I'm giving it to the studio. I think the studio is going to clean up. And we haven't really talked about how well Apple TV Plus has done in these nominations. I think their quality over quantity approach that's very different to a lot of their streaming competitors. I think that's really paying off in the awards race. I mean, you saw it on the film side. It's the first and still only streaming platform to win Best Picture for Coda. I think they're loving all that prestige. Some of the categories that I think are still kind of up in the air. We talked about earlier, Walton Goggins versus Tramell Tillman. I'm giving it to Tramell, but is it going to split the vote? All those Severance actors in that one category. A lot of love for Walton Goggins. That's one where I'm kind of like that could go either way. Britt Lauer versus Kathy Bates, I would say. That could go either way. So I love being right. I love being able to predict things and call it out. But I love a surprise. So I do hope we get a few surprises tonight because it can be really easy to be kind of predictable at this phase in the awards race. And I'm also just curious about the vibes, Is it going to be fun? Is it going to be, heavy subjects? So we'll see. I'm excited.
Well, we'll see who is right and who was very wrong with their predictions. All I hope, and my only prediction, is that we get a Seth Rogen laugh during one of his acceptance speeches. All right, thank you everyone for tuning in, and thanks again to our sponsor, Stuart Weitzman. Luxury shoes inspired by women who stand strong and keep moving forward. A big thank you to all of my guests from LA Times Studios, Angelica Coronado, from the LA Times Studios, and from the LA Times, Alex Stedman and Dave Schilling. Enjoy the Emmys, and we'll see you next time.